welcome back. You're watching Power Lunch here on NDTV Profit. Let's quickly check how the European markets have opened up today. So we are not really seeing some huge pressure out there. So it's absolutely flat. FTSE 100 is marginally trading in the red at this point in time, down about 10 points or so. CAC 40 is also down about 0.07%. So there are a lot of, in fact, economic data, which is lined up today. So that might drive the markets going ahead from here on, and we'll definitely keep an eye out on that. Moving on, let's talk about what's happening in the Indian banking system now. PSU banks, remember, have been seeing some big gains coming in the last couple of trading sessions, but today we are seeing some amount of pressure building on the some of the PSU banking names. Now, in the second quarter, the banks posted some, an increase in their net NPL levels. Their bad assets have actually increased, and we spoke to Rudran-MD and CEO at Asset Reconstruction Company of India, MD and CEO of Arcil, to get a sense of how much of the bad loans have these banks actually sold to the asset reconstruction companies. And the sense we got that roughly of about 42,000 crore rupees worth of bad loans were on offer, but very few of them could be taken up by these asset reconstruction companies because of the pricing and the kind of regulation the RBI had come out with recently. When I asked Mr. Rudran about the surge in the NPAs in the second quarter and how much of the bad loans has Arcil acquired, then this is what he had to say.
I think totally we have acquired little over 1,000 crores in the current half year, of which the major portion has come in the first quarter, and some spillover was there from the first quarter to the second quarter, because we had done the due diligence and we had made the offer and on 595 basis, but because the regulation changed, so those things were converted into 1585, and we have taken those assets. But fresh assets, acquisition of fresh assets in the on 1585 terms was very little, because many of the banks, in some of the banks which offered the NPS for sale, we had given our offer, though we were the highest bidder, but some of these things did not conclude. So totally in the first half year, the majority of the assets have been acquired in the first quarter itself, and some spillover assets, maybe around little over 200 crores or so, we have acquired in the second quarter.
Last financial year, in fact, the sale of bad loans to ARCs had risen quite sharply. What's the outlook this year?
No, actually, what you said is absolutely right. Based on the last year's sale of assets by the banks and the acquisitions that the ARCs have done, we should have done a fantastic job in the FY15. And the indications in the current, the first quarter of the current financial year also was very extremely encouraging. In fact, if you look at the first quarter, I think almost about 15,000 crores of assets were acquired by the asset reconstruction companies. But there has been the problem has been that the regulation has been changed from 5 to 15% the mandatory contribution or investment by the ARCs, but the pricing has not changed much. What is happening is the pricing which is applicable to 595 and the pricing which is applicable to 1585 have to be different, because 15% which the IRCs are investing 3 times more than what they were supposed to invest earlier. So naturally the price has to come down. So the clue for improving the sale of assets to IRCs is nothing but a realistic assessment of the price at which the banks want to sell it. I think if we do that, the things can look up still better, and maybe in the remaining part of the current year also we can have enhanced the sales.
All right, so the regulation has changed, pricing has not really changed, but still, what's your target for the full year? How much are you looking to acquire?
No, we have a target of 3,500 crore. Of which what we have acquired is about little over 1,000 crores. But if the pricing becomes realistic, I think we should be able to meet the target. I think more assets can come, maybe 30,000-40,000 crores of assets can still come. in the first half year, almost about 42,000 crores of assets have been offered by the various banks for sale to ARCs, but the sale has not taken place. In the second quarter, I think on total sale would have been in the region of around 1,000 crores or so, which should have been much more. That has not happened, but if the pricing becomes realistic, I am sure that these sales will take place.
And how much have been the recovery so far in the first half of this financial year?
Recovery, I can say only for Arcil, it is about 500 crore recovery we have done. But the point is, in this recovery in respect of NPAs, to arrive at the recovery rate or something is a very difficult thing, because these are all very sticky assets, and some of the assets require restructuring. Restructuring will take a longer period for payment. So whatever we have acquired in the previous year, only a part of that would come for this year as a recovery, or maybe a second, it has to be a continuous process actually. So to conclude that, what is the recovery rate, that is very difficult to say. But we are on right path. I think with the improvement in the macroeconomic conditions, our recovery also should increase.
It's difficult to assess the recovery rate, but just to get a sense of usually like in a year, how much of redemption of the security receipts are done on a regular basis, if there is a trend that you can share with us?
I think almost about 82% of our SRs, we have been able to reduce on an average basis right from inception. And currently also this in the first half year also around 300 crores of redemption we have done.
Which particular sectors according to you are showing an increase in the bad loans?
No, I have not specifically done an analysis on these 42,000 crores, but I can generally say that mainly the infrastructure, iron and steel, textile, then minerals and metals, these are the sectors where the maximum NPAs are there.
And should something be done to actually amend the debt recovery laws to make them more effective, because this is something which the finance minister had also announced during the budget?
Yeah, this is a very good thing that the government has announced setting up of 6 more DRTs in the country. That's a very good step. But more than anything else, what is required is the quality of disposal of the cases by the DRTs should be improved. As per the DRT Act, a case when it is filed, it has to be disposed of within 180 days. That is not happening. A lot of delay takes place because of the stay being granted by the DRTs, and when the stay is being granted, the DRTs are not insisting that at least a portion of the dues should be deposited with the DRT first of all before granting stay. Maybe at least they should say 50% of the claim should be deposited with the DRT, then only the stay can be granted. Otherwise they should not grant the stay. They should continue the cases and then take a correct decision or give the judgment accordingly. But basically what is required in the DRT is only a debt adjudication. Once debt adjudication is done, then if the promoter of the borrower or the defaulter is not able to pay, then the question of selling of the assets come. So here what is happening is, most of the cases stay is being granted to the borrower, and borrowers are also instead of going if the decision is in favor of the lender, then they will go to the DRT with an appeal, and from DRT they will run to the High Court. So judicial system, this legal system will have to be further reformed in a big way, so that there is earlier decisions. This kind of a delay cannot be afforded. That is what is required.
Right. We also understand that the government had also formed some committee to come out with some recommendations. Have you heard from the government in this particular matter as yet?
Yeah, I think that is yet to come out with its results. I think already people have worked on this. Various suggestions have been sent. We have sent suggestion. IBA has sent suggestion. ARCs also has an association of ARCs in India. We have sent a few suggestions. Then Reserve Bank also sought the suggestions from us. I think the government, the Reserve Bank and the banks and the IBA and all are working towards this. A lot of suggestions have been given. Some amendments in the act would be required. Maybe they will take up in the next session of the parliament or something. What is required is the speedier judgments are required. That is what is required now.
Alright, so that's the word coming in from Arcil Asset Reconstruction Company. Bad loans continue to rise. Infra, iron and steel along with textile, minerals and mines. These are the sectors where the NPAs continue to rise, but hospitality sector certainly has shown some improvement. We are slipping into a very short break at this point in time. After a short break, we'll be joined by the management of Group Finance.